Now, if I were to ask you for your favorite sport, what comes to mind? Football, basketball, baseball, tennis, maybe bowling. There's like a million different things that you could say, but if you were to sit and tell me that your favorite sport was probably the same as my favorite sport, you'd be lying. Because I have learned the most underground sport of all time. It's called competitive ear pulling, and that is my favorite sport. Also better known as ear pull, you may have spent a lot of time on Earth and never heard of it. And to be honest, I don't blame you. It's an old Inuit tribe game that tests strength and endurance. And basically two people just face each other, put a rubber band / like string thing on each other's ear, and they pull. And that's it. The rules are you get a point if you're the last one to stop pulling, or if the rubber band breaks, whoever the rubber band is still on, that person gets a point. That's it. It's just a simple game of pulling. And I've learned that it's my favorite sport because it covers all different categories of sports. It maintains strength, knowledge, and wisdom. And not only that, the female and male brackets are both competitive. Now, you may be wondering, ear pull, that sounds like a little kid game. Why are there brackets for it? Well, funny enough, it's actually a sport that takes place during the World Eskimo Indian Olympics. And it's a very heavy competition that's taken place since 1968. So with this old sport being very popular and very well documented, I felt like I should tell you guys and let you guys know of a very underground sport that's just like absolutely awesome because it's just so easy and it's just so awesome to analyze. And so, I felt like my 1 subscriber special should be this video. Because if anyone out there wants to know what my favorite sport is, it's probably my single subscriber I have right now. So let's get started. I'll start with the easy stuff. I want to introduce you guys into what ear pull even looks like. So let's just start with the most recent memorable clip from ear pull. It comes from the 2012 Eskimo Indian Olympics, in which the Stone Cold Killer James Lape destroyed the entire competition. I feel like I should tell you guys that ear pull rounds actually don't last very long. As a matter of fact, some of the longest rounds barely last over 5 seconds. And so James Lape's clips can almost be summed up into a minute, but his dominance on the court will never be forgotten. Unfortunately, James Lape did die to the battle of cancer in 2016, so that's an unfortunate rip to the Stone Cold Killer himself. But with that in mind, we have one of the most awesome clips of ear pull ever coming from James Lape. So it's good that his memory will never be lost because he is probably the most infamous clip in all of ear pull. Not only was James Lape absolutely slaughtering everyone in his way, but he was also making people bleed from the sheer dominant force in his big ass ears. James Lape was just absolutely awesome, so let's just give a big thanks to James for absolutely dominating in 2012, and I just thought that was the easiest way to introduce you guys. I want to touch back up on what I said in the beginning, when I said that both brackets were competitive. The male and female brackets are completely different in ear pull, almost like being 2 different sports. What we can see in the male bracket is that when they almost instantly pull away, it's like a test of strength, but for females, they focus on the endurance part.
I was kind of nervous, and then watching all these people with their ears popping and the bleeding. But you don't, like I was saying earlier, you don't join a game like this and then quit. I mean, you know what you're getting into, and it's kind of like life. You just got to follow through, or you stop. You know, I didn't want to give up.
And we see super long matches in the female brackets. Like, sometimes they'll last up to 10 seconds, which is like never seen in the male brackets. So it's pretty awesome to see that because, you know, in sports like the UFC, we can see that females are often getting compared to the male side of the sport. But in a sport like ear pull, that just doesn't exist because they're two completely different brackets. If you were to put a male into the female bracket, it would be a complete stomp out for him because he is not endurance based. But if you put a female in the male bracket, she would also get destroyed because she's not used to the fast pace of the male bracket. Probably the biggest factor into why I like ear pull itself is that, like, no matter what round you're watching, you're probably going to enjoy ear pull just because it's either funny or genuinely competitive because it's such a stupid sport. I mean, it just looks silly, two people pulling away from each other with a rubber band on it. And so I think it's easy to establish why it's my favorite sport and why it should be yours too. With that in mind, we should probably look at some of the most recent clips, considering that the next Olympics will be this year in July, which is pretty awesome to look forward to, but it should have been last year. Unfortunately, they did get pushed a year back because of COVID, so we will always see the Indian Olympics being a year off. But with that in mind, we'll go back to the most recent Olympics in 2021, where Isa Sullivan won first place as a 24-year-old competitor from Oklahoma, which, as far as I'm aware, is the youngest champion that we've seen in ear pull history, which is pretty awesome. So credits due to Isa because she's a champion at so young, and I look forward to seeing her more in the next coming months. Now, I am saddened to say that 2021 wasn't even the most recent Olympics. As a matter of fact, it was the 2023 Olympics, but I couldn't find any footage. But with that in mind, luckily the Facebook page of the World Eskimo Indian Olympics, as well as local news in the area, both back up on who won. In the women's bracket, Caroline Wiseman won, and in the males bracket, we had Frank Lane Sr. who won. And in second place in the males bracket was actually Frank Lane's son, Frank Lane Jr. As much as I want to find you guys footage of the 2023 Olympics, unfortunately it just doesn't exist. Otherwise, it only exists on a poor quality news network. So, after I explain this to you guys in the next coming months with the future Olympics, I hope you guys tune in, because who doesn't love some good old-fashioned ear tugging? I hope with this you also learn that the true way to show dominance is by way of ear pull. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching.